So good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining. I'm Melanie Anthony, Communication Advisor at RPRA. Thank you for attending our HWP Registry Generated Focus Information session today. This webinar will outline what future users can expect leading up to the launch of the HWP Registry, as well as answer your questions. To ask a question, click on the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen and type in your question or comment and click send. There's also the upvote feature where you can like another person's question. This will move the questions up the queue and prompt us to answer it faster. If we can't get to your question because of time, or if your question is very specific to your own business needs, please feel free to reach out to our HWP team at hwp@rpra.ca, who will be happy to help. We will share these ideas with you via email. This webinar is also being recorded and will be posted to our website this week. With me today is RIPRA HWP Project Lead, Ellen White. I will now hand it over to Ellen to kick off today's presentation.
Thank you, Melanie, and thank you to all of you for joining us today. This is our first broad generator-focused information session. The content for today's session will be focused on generators. If you're a carrier and receiver, you may want to go to our website. We've done some previous webinars specifically for carriers and receivers, so there's some great role-specific information in those recordings. However, a lot of this information that we're sharing today is really going to be relevant to all roles, so we welcome everyone for coming. We're going to do a quick introduction about who RPRA is as a company. Some of you may not know us. We're going to look at delegation for a fair bit of today's session because we've been getting a lot of questions from both generators and service providers about how this is going to work. We're then going to go into some details about creating your accounts because that's something that's going to be coming up later on in the fall, and give you some tools, what you can do to prepare for the transition. And we're going to try our best to stay on schedule, so we'll have a lot of time for Q&As at the end of today's presentation. Yeah, next slide. So for those of you who don't know us, we are the Resource Productivity and Recovery Authority. Quite a long name, so you'll often hear us call ourselves either RPRA or RIPRA. And we are the regulator created by the Government of Ontario to transition Ontario's existing waste diversion programs under what's called the Waste Diversion Transition Act, and transitioning them to what we call producer responsibility programs under the Resource Recovery and Circular Economy Act. So things like our Blue Box program, we're responsible for overseeing that. We've also been responsible for transitioning tires recycling, electronics, batteries. So we oversee many programs in this province to try to reduce waste and promote the circular economy and reuse of our resources. We also, in addition to those producer responsibility programs, we also provide registration and digital reporting services for programs that are run by the Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks. We currently operate one for excess soil. It's been paused, but the program is up and running. The registry is up and running on a voluntary basis. And as well as the program that we're going to be talking about today, hazardous waste. So as we get into the presentation, you'll learn that as of January 1, anyone who was reporting through the HWP system to the Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks will be reporting to RPRA through the Hazardous Waste Program Registry in January. We are accountable to the Minister of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, who directs us through both regulation and additional direction. While we provide information to the minister to support their policy decisions, we don't determine policy or write regulations. So if you have a question or concern about the underlying regulations or policies related to the RPRA, the HWP program, we'll provide some contact information for you to direct that to the ministry. So when we talk about the Hazardous Waste Program Registry, what is it? We have been mandated by the ministry to create a digital registry to support reporting all information required under Ontario's Hazardous Waste Program. So this includes registering your facilities where you generate hazardous waste, as well as registering all the waste streams that you produce, as well as doing any of your on-site waste reporting activities, so any storage, disposal, or processing that happens on-site, as well as manifesting. So a big change that you'll be hearing about throughout the presentation is we are ending the use of paper manifests. As of January 1, you'll be able to go paperless and report all of your hazardous waste shipments through our PRA's registry. We've also been mandated by the ministry to set and collect the hazardous waste program fees, as well as supporting any stakeholder who is required to report under the hazardous waste program. We provide phone and email support to support you in meeting your reporting obligations. So while our program registry will be replacing the current HWIN system, and you will be doing mandatory online reporting through our PRA's registry, it's still going to be the ministry who's responsible for overseeing the compliance and enforcement activities related to the hazardous waste program. So any audits or inspections, it's still going to be with the ministry. We've been working at developing this registry for well over a year, and we've been doing this in partnership with our partners in the ministry, as well as our technology vendors and a lot of industry stakeholders. And just listed here is a lot of the activities that we've been doing with our stakeholders to make sure that we are really understanding business needs throughout the development of this project. We talked about some of the key changes that are happening. I think it's important to note that it's really where you're going to be doing your hazardous waste reporting and how you're going to report the information that's changing. The what you need to report is going to stay the same. So definitions of what is hazardous waste and liquid industrial waste, rules around when you're going to need to report your waste shipments, your on-site storage, that is all remaining the same. What is ending, key change, is going to be the end of your annual registration requirement for each generating facility. If you're a current HWIN user, you might know that every year by February 15th, you have to come in and report annually. As of January 1, you're going to be doing your facility registration and your waste registrations when you need to. So when it's specified in the regulation. So within 90 days of producing the waste, you're gonna report it. You don't have to come in and do that every year though. Once you've reported it, it's in the system. Big key change is end of paper manifests for waste shipments. So moving forward, as of January 1, you're gonna be needing to report through our registry for all your waste shipments. That includes carriers and receivers who are signing manifests as well. So all of that's going to be done within the registry system. And we, as we'll go through, we feel like we've developed what we hope is a user-friendly experience that will make that reporting as easy as possible. Some of the what's new. In addition to reporting through us, we're maybe new to you, and through HWP's registry. Another change in the regulation, or an addition to the regulation, is a clarification around the ability for generators to delegate their reporting and fee payments to an authorized generator delegate. We'll get into the details of what that means a bit later in today's session, but this was a clarification of a process that we understand happens today, where as generators, you may work with service providers who identify your waste. They may register them on your behalf and manage the shipments of your waste on your behalf. So then the new amendment to the regulation just clarifies how that will work. As I mentioned, carriers and receivers are going to need to create registry accounts in order to transport and process waste. They'll be required to register so that they can be added to manifests as well. And we understand that today, really, it's mostly carriers and receivers who are using the e-manifest option, who are registering in HWIN, but other than that, it's mostly a paper-based. The final one, this is a process that's been well underway for a while. We've heard from some very large waste management companies that they have internal systems that collect all of the data required to be reporting through the registry. And so we're working with those companies to develop a technical integration and API integration to allow them to transport that data directly from their systems into the registry. Next slide, please. Okay, so now we will focus a little bit on delegation. As I said, the amendment to Regulation 347, that's the General Waste Management Regulation that contains all the rules around hazardous waste reporting. That amended regulation, it clarifies that generators can delegate to a service provider to submit information to the registry on the generator's behalf. We call this service provider an authorized generator delegate. We love acronyms, so if you hear us refer to it as AGD, that's what that one means. When we talk about what an AGD or an authorized generator delegate can do on behalf of a generator, it varies. And it's going to depend on the business relationships that you as generators have with your service providers. And it'll be a business agreement between you and your service providers about what services that AGD may complete on your behalf. So we'll talk about two kinds of delegation that you'll be able to do in the registry. The first one we call full delegation. This is a business relationship where you've come to an agreement with your authorized generator delegate that they're going to do all of your activities on your behalf. So you as a generator in full delegation, you're not going to interact with the registry at all. It's going to be your delegate who creates a registry account under their business, and they're going to add your facilities and waste information. They're going to manage your on-site activities, do all of your reporting. They're also going to be able to sign manifests on your behalf, as well as pay fees associated to your activities. The other kind of delegation we talk about is partial delegation. In this relationship, you'll have a business agreement with your authorized generator delegate where you may want your delegate to perform some activities on your behalf, but you still want to manage others. In that case, you as the generator will create a registry account for your business. Once you've created your account and set up your generator facilities under your account, you'll be able to grant access to an authorized generator delegate of your choice to manage some or all of the activities on your behalf. So they will be able to, they could be able to create wastes and manage wastes at your facilities. They could report on on-site activities. They could also do manifesting on your behalf, including signing off. The one key difference here is that as the account holder, it would be you as the generator who we issue an invoice to, and then you would be responsible for paying any fees related to your waste activities. We've been getting a lot of questions from all of you about what should I do? What kind of delegation relationship should I enter into with my service provider? So we've put together a bit of a summary chart, just showing a bit of the comparison about the two options, two delegation options, as well as the option for you as the generator to not delegate and to manage your own accounts and activities. And this just shows what functions you'll be able to do or not be able to do depending on what delegation you choose. So you do, as a generator, if you want to have an account, if you want to be able to log in and see your activities or report some of your activities, if you look, partial delegation or no delegation will allow you to do that. If you would like an AGD to do everything on your behalf, you can do that. That would be the full delegation model. And then you see if in full delegation, you're not interacting with the registry. So you're not having to create your account or register facilities or wastes. That would be your AGD doing that in full delegation. One other thing I'll highlight on this slide, and again, as Melanie mentioned, you'll have access to review this presentation after today's session. So you'll be able to really go in detail and focus on this chart and really evaluate what will work for you. But I did want to point out that even if you don't want to do any delegation, your service providers, your carriers, receivers will still be able to create manifests. So if you look at that second last line where it says have an AGD or another service provider create manifests, if today you are a generator and your carrier comes to pick up waste and they have a paper manifest filled out and you're signing that manifest, that can still continue even if you don't have delegation. The carrier can still create a manifest in the registry and you'll be able to log into your registry account to sign that manifest. You can move to the next slide. A few final things to keep in mind about delegation is that you don't need to wait to decide what kind of delegation you want to do. In fact, we encourage all of you to start having these conversations with your service providers and make decisions about what kind of delegation you want to do. That's going to be really important as we move in later on in the fall, because the registry is going to open for everyone to come in, create their accounts and register their facilities and get their accounts set up with all of their H1 data. It's going to open on November 15th. And so if you have a sense of how you want to set up your account by November 15th, you'll be able to come in and set up your accounts well in advance of those reporting requirements coming in. That's going to be really key because your carriers and receivers, they're not going to be able to pick up your waste or receive waste from your facilities if they're not set up in the registry beforehand, and if your facilities are not set up in the registry. So everyone has to be registered in the registry before any of those shipments can happen in January. Moving on to account creation. We've been asked a lot, do I need to create an HWP registry account? And the answer is yes. If you or your AGD must set up an account in the Hazardous Waste Program Registry in order to complete your generator registration report. So that is entering your company data, your facility information, and your waste information. You'll also need an account to be, or you or your AGD must set up an account in order for you to be listed as a generator on a manifest, to be able to create or edit manifests, sign manifests, and that includes signing off on corrections. So in the new world, your corrections and waste refusals will also be done within the registry system. You'll also need a registry account if you report on any on-site waste activities. I should note, we have been getting questions from generators who said, well, I don't generate hazardous waste anymore. I haven't done it for years. So really, this is if you are doing waste activities, you need an account. If you are no longer an active generator and you're not going to be needing to report your waste, or if you're not going to be producing waste on site anymore, or you're not going to be generating waste, then you don't need an account. You can come in and start creating your account starting on November 15th, 2022. Your account must be set up before January 1st, 2023, so that you'll be able to manifest in the new system. As I mentioned, paper manifests will no longer be accepted as of January 1st, 2023. If you do ship waste late in the year, so if you have a shipment date of December 30th, 2022, you're still going to be reporting that using the current system. So if you're using paper manifest, you'll continue to submit that paper. Or if you're doing e-manifesting through HWIN, you'll do it that way. So, but it's for any shipments that have a shipment date of January 1st, 2023 onwards, you'll be reporting those through the registry. Wanted to take a moment to talk through how account management works in the RPRA's registry, because I understand it works a little bit different in HWIN. I understand in HWIN, you have a separate HWIN account for each of your generating facilities. In RPRA's registry, we have each company will have their own one registry account and one account admin user. And then they'll enroll in as many waste programs as they need to. So some of you on the call may already have RPRA registry accounts because you are producers of batteries or you generate excess soil. And so in that case, you're not going to be creating a new registry account. You're going to be enrolling in the Hazardous Waste Program in November. So once your account admin has set up a registry account for your company, they'll be able to enroll the company in one or more RPRA programs. They'll also be able to add as many multiple users per program as needed. So if you have 10 people who are going to be managing your hazardous waste facilities, you can add 10, 20 users under your one account. From that one company account, that one hazardous waste program enrollment, you'll be adding and managing all of your facilities. I've put here the ON numbers as examples because if you have existing generator numbers from HWIN, you'll be keeping that same number. So we're going to be migrating those numbers over from HWIN, so you'll use the same ones. Once you've added all of those facilities to your accounts, to your one account, you can manage your wastes, your on-site activities, and any waste shipments at that facility level. We like to say that creating a registry account with us is simple and straightforward. There's only a few steps to create your account. You'll be asked to provide some business information, your business number and name, your address, the name and contact of your admin user. Then you'll set a password and then you'll be able to enroll in the program and add additional users. It comes up quite a bit that a lot of companies, the way that they're structured, they may require an additional registry account. Or if you're an out-of-country company, you may not have a Canadian Revenue Agency business number. If that's the case, so if you don't have a CRA number, or if you need to set up multiple registry accounts that are separate, you will need to contact our registry support for assistance. We know that many of you have probably been using active in this program for many years, and you have quite a bit of data that you've reported through HWIN. So we will be migrating active generator account data from HWIN into the new registry. We're going to be doing that in October of this year. Then the HWIN support team, they will be reaching out to users directly to provide some information about when that data migration is happening and specific information about what you can do to prepare your accounts. But for now, I'll detail the data that will be migrated and then some of the data that we're not able to migrate. So as I mentioned, we're going to migrate your generator numbers, so your generator IDs and your company details. We're also going to be migrating your site location information and your site details. Your waste identification, so everything from the waste class and then the associated waste streams, the land disposal restriction notification forms, all of that will be migrated, as well as any fee exemption. So if you were granted a fee exemption already, that information will also be migrated, so you don't need to apply for another one. we're not able to migrate your historic manifest data. There's a lot there, and so we're not able to migrate that. However, that historic information will still be available for you. And again, the HWIN support team will be able to provide information about how you'll be able to access those historic manifests once the new registry goes live, as well as any on-site processing, storage, and disposal activities that you're reporting for the 2022 year or earlier. We're not able to migrate that. So if you are going to be doing on-site activities in 2023, you will need to report that through our Hazardous Registry in the new year. We're also not going to migrate your land disposal restriction questionnaires. We understand that you use that primarily to determine whether you need a notification form or not. And so we went with migrating that notification form instead of the questionnaires as well. Financial information, none of that is going to be migrated. We'll talk about that in a few slides coming up, but we are going to be handling payment and financial information differently in our Hazardous Registry than how it's handled in HWIN today. So if you hold a balance in HWIN, that balance is not going to be transferred over to the new system. And then finally, document attachments. So if you had any supporting documentation in your file, we're not able to transfer that over to the new system. A quick note as well, again, if there are any carriers and receivers on the call today, we are going to be migrating your environmental compliance approval numbers into the registry from the Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Park staff. They're going to be managing that for us, and then you'll be able to link existing your environmental compliance approvals to your registry account. To prepare for account creation, you may want to find out if your company already has a registry account. You're going to want to make sure that the account admin is aware that we're launching the Hazardous Waste Program Registry in November, so that they can be prepared to, on November 15th or soon after, go in and add the Hazardous Waste Program to the existing account. You may also want to decide who's going to be added as users to your Hazardous Waste Program registry account. That way you'll be able to add them as users, put in their email addresses so that they can set up their passwords and their login information. To prepare for data migration from HWIN, you're going to need to know the generator number for each of your facilities. And you're going to want to make sure that your generator accounts are active and your waste information is up to date. We're going to be migrating that active data. So if you have any inactive waste streams that you think you may be using next year and you want that information to be ported over, you may want to go in and manage that data in your HWIN account to make sure that the information you're going to need next year is in there. As well, you're also going to want to know the primary or secondary HWIN username associated to the facility. If you log into HWIN, you should be able to go into users and see the list of the users in your facilities account. We're going to use that as a little verification to ensure that you're linking the right data from HWIN to your new registry account. So when you create your registry account, you're going to be, and you go to add a facility, you're going to be asked if it's existing. You're going to then put in your HWIN generator number and the primary or secondary HWIN username, and then that information will be added to your account. You'll be able to review it. And then a final reminder that if you are doing full delegation, that you don't need to create a registry account. This really is for generators who are going to create their own account because they're not going to delegate, or they're going to partially delegate to other service providers. For the first time, RPRA is launching a mobile app. This app, it is going to be compatible with both Apple and Android. It's going to be available for download on the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store on November 15th as well. Because we're going paperless, we wanted to make sure we had a way for carriers and carriers to have access to that manifest information with them at all times. So this new app will allow generators, carriers, and receivers to view existing manifests, to sign manifests, to create new manifests, and to do all the completion of manifests as well. To try to make it easy, registry users, you're going to have the same username and password to sign into the app that you will to sign into the web portal registry. If you are interested in your staff using the mobile app, you want to make sure that they're aware of the transition, that they have access to a mobile device, and that they're aware that paper manifests are no longer going to be accepted in 2023. So on to fees. Wanted to talk a little bit about our PRA and how we set our fees. We're not funded by the government, we're funded by the regulated community. And because of that, we operate on a strict program cost recovery basis. We therefore set our fees annually, and we set them in consultation with the affected stakeholders. So we're going to be publicly consulting on hazardous waste program fees this October. And we will provide information about when that consultation is live and how you can participate at that time. Rules about what kinds of hazardous waste program fees we can set are outlined in a new regulation under the Resource Recovery and Circular Economy Act. I believe that links to the actual piece of legislation. So when you have a copy of this deck, you'll be able to click and read through it if you love reading regulations. But just know that it does really preserve and clarify existing hazardous waste program fee exemptions. And so we're not able to add additional fees that are prohibited under this regulation. So fee exemptions will still be in place for municipal hazardous or special waste facilities, as well as contaminated sites. Any manifesting or shipments related to emergencies and spills, that's also fee exempt, and as well as tonnage fee exempt recycling facilities. And the process to apply for a tonnage fee exempt recycling facility is still going to be managed by the ministry, and they will be providing more information about that process in their guidance materials that will be released later in the year. So I mentioned that fees are going to work a little bit differently in our PRA's Hazardous Waste Program Registry. So we are not going to be offering a prepayment option. I understand today that many generators will prepay for their manifesting and other waste activities at the beginning of the year. We will not be doing that. In the new registry, we will be doing monthly invoices. Each invoice will be sent to either the company, the generator that set up the generation facility, or the AGD under a full delegation model. It'll be a monthly invoice to the company. It will be broken out by fees related to each facility. And within the registry itself, you'll be able to see the fees related to each manifest. So because we're not operating a prepayment option, just know that any prepaid account balances that you have in H1 will not be transferred to the HWP registry. So you may want to manage your prepaid account balance now to avoid having to get a refund from H1 later. So again, the H1 support team is going to be reaching out to users directly with specific information about how any of that true up of the accounts will happen. Okay, looking ahead to November, we know that this is a large transition for current H1 users and the Hazardous Waste Program, the regulated community. So we are developing a lot of training and support materials for future registry users. Our website is going to be where all of this training information is housed. We know that different users have different learning styles, and so we wanted to develop our training in multiple formats. So we're going to be offering a mix of virtual instructor-led training. It would be similar to the session you're in today, a pre-recorded session with an instructor and a presentation. We're going to be doing some shorter form task videos to help users through very specific tasks in the system, as well as simulations. This will give you the opportunity to get a bit of hands-on practice in a safe environment that's not your active registry account. So you'll be able to fill out different screens there. And then some written material as well. So some step-by-step work instructions, as well as some quick 1 or 2 page reference guides to help you use the registry. All the training, it'll be role-based, so training specific to generators, carriers, and receivers. And we're going to cover as many functions in the Hazardous Waste Program Registry as possible. We are putting some finishing touches on all those training materials now, and they will be available by November in advance of the registry opening on November 15th. I'll pause here. I won't read it all out, but just know that there is a lot of places that you can get further information about the transition. Our website has a lot of information. That's where we house all of this. And so please follow the link to our website following today's session to learn more. We have a growing FAQ list. As we get questions from the webinars through our email inboxes, we're adding to that FAQ webpage. So if we can't answer your question today, just know that we are, it may come up on our website already, or will be added in the near future for you. I mentioned a lot of our training. That training, in addition to today's session, which will be recorded and available, will be on our learning series webpage. I'm going to also point out our YouTube channel. We've recorded a live demonstration of the registry and the mobile app. It gives you a little sneak peek of how the web portal and the mobile app interact with each other, and just how quickly data is transferred from one version of the registry to the other in real time. So please go to our channel to check that out as well. If you haven't already, we do a monthly newsletter about the Hazardous Waste Program. So you can go to our website to sign up for that. As well, if you have a question for us at RPRA or the ministry about any regulations or the windup of the HWIN program, you can reach them at hwinmodernization@ontario.ca. Finally, here's some key dates just to keep in mind as we transition into the new registry. So again, between now and early fall, start thinking about delegation, start talking to your service providers and decide what kind of delegation relationship you're going to have. Make sure that you've gathered all your HWIN information, your HWIN generator numbers, and your HWIN usernames, and managing that HWIN data so that you're ready for the migration to happen into the new registry. Keep an eye out. In October, we are going to be publicly consulting on our Hazardous Waste Program Registry fees. And then in November, by November, we're going to be publishing all of our training materials. November 15th, put it on your calendar. That's when the registry opens for you to be coming in to set up your accounts, to migrate all your data over from HWIN, to set up all your waste streams so that if you happen to have a shipment going out on January 1st, if you're not taking that day off and you're working, as we understand this is a 24/7 program, you'll be able to start doing that manifesting in the new system on January 1st if you choose. Okay, I'm going to hand it back over to Melanie, who's going to moderate our Q&A session.
Yes, thank you, Ellen. We will now answer the questions for those who raised their hand. Kindly please type your question in the Q&A tab. To ask a question, again, click on the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen, type in your questions or comment and click send. There's also the upvote feature where you can like another person's question. This will move the question up the queue and prompt us to answer it faster. So I will start by the most question. So what will the fee structure be?
So details about what that fee structure be, it's going to be mostly focused on in our fee consultation that is happening in October. We're not planning on introducing new fees, but we will be presenting our proposal for the HWP fees in our consultation in the fall.
The next question is, will paper manifest be acceptable, especially for hazardous waste sent out of province?
So no, so this is going to be a change for those of you who frequently ship waste between provinces or in and out of the country. You may be used to reporting through the Environment Canada's CNMTS system and then printing out and sending that to the ministry. As of January 1st, you're still going to be reporting through CNMTS as required, but you're also going to need to report your Ontario specific information from that manifest in our registry.
The next question is, will the online manifest satisfy the TDGR requirements for the transport of dangerous goods?
Yeah, so we get a lot of questions about Transport Canada's transportation of dangerous goods regulation requirements. We understand that I know that they have done a pilot around not having a paper copy, and there is information through Transport Canada about getting a permanent paper exemption. If you are, but that is between you and Transport Canada. What we are providing through our registry is we are providing a PDF version of our manifest that we've been working with Transport Canada to make sure is TDG compliant. So if you require that paper copy to be with your drivers, you'll be able to print out a PDF copy of the manifest from our system.
The next question is, under full delegation, is the generator still liable for errors made by the AGD?
Yeah, so under the regulation, it is still the generator who is responsible. So you're just going to need to make that clear in your agreement with your AGD that they are operating in compliance, because yes, it is the generator who is responsible under the regulation.
The next question is, if we haven't decided yet regarding delegation, can we go ahead and register our sites on the system and then set it for full delegation later?
It is possible. So what you can do in that, if you've set up your, if you've gone in and set up an account for like a partial delegation setup where you've created an account and set up your facilities, you will be able to have an AGD go and you will be able to do full delegation. If you feel like you're going to change often, it might be that the partial delegation might work better for you. That way you can go and always approve and revoke access to different delegates. But yeah, if it is possible to set up an account and then deactivate your account if you're going to switch to a full delegation model.
The next question is, are there any legal requirements that need to be specified in the business agreement between the generator and the HT? Is there a template agreement available?
That's a really good question, and it's one that our colleagues in the ministry will be able to provide further guidance on. Right now, we are working off of the requirements in the regulation that states that generators who delegate may have a written agreement with an authorized generator delegate. That I'm trying to think of the exact wording, but the regulation does provide guidance about having a written agreement between the generator and the AGD, but our colleagues in the ministry will be able to provide further guidance on that.
The next question is, if we have multiple ON numbers, will each be transferred to one company? How will that work? Do we register all the ON numbers to our one account and you will transfer everything from HWin?
Yeah, so how it's going to work is everything will be transferred into the registry. It'll kind of be sitting there. And then as you go in and create your account, you'll be almost like picking up and claiming the registration numbers that are with you. So yeah, all of your ON numbers will be under your account, but you'll have to have a process where you're like picking the ON number from a list and adding it to your account.
The next question is, are there any legal requirements that need, the next question is, how does the 90 days exemption for storage of waste greater than 90 days work in the system?
So the policy decision there hasn't changed. So however you report it now, we will make sure that our system aligns with that policy direction. So if you have an exemption, the system will allow you to report that exemption. So we've worked with our colleagues in the ministry to make sure that our on-site reporting functionality in the system, it matches what the regulatory requirements are. So in our training materials, we'll go into some specifics about how to report your on-site storage, but just know that it will align with what the ministry's policy decisions are.
The next question is there a list of AGD service companies?
So no, our registry hasn't opened yet for companies to register as an AGD. Any company that is going to be reporting on behalf of a generator can register as an AGD. So no, we don't have a list of AGD companies as of yet. You may want to start talking to your current service providers, and you may want to start asking them, like, if they are going to be able to provide reporting services on your behalf. You may want to let them know about the new AGD definition.
So the next question is, for no delegation option, how does the hazardous waste carrier service provider pre-populate an e-manifest for my company to sign? Do I need to do anything to help my hazardous waste carrier service provider pre-populate a manifest for me?
Yes, so in a no delegation option where you are going to be registering your account to help your carriers and service providers, you're going to need to make sure that you've set up all your facilities and that you've registered all your waste that you're going to be shipping to those facilities. That way, when your carrier logs into the registry and they click create new manifest, they'll be able to add you as a generator from a list in the system. And then they'll be able to kind of select from all of your registered facilities and be able to pick the facility that they're going to and the waste items that they're going to be shipping.
The next question is, in an event of a power failure where the system goes down, how will we be able to ship or receive?
Yeah, so we're working very hard with our technology providers to minimize the possibilities of our system going down. We are going to be preparing some business continuity processes, so to provide guidance for companies in the event of a power failure. But definitely, I don't have specific details for you, but I do know that we are developing those processes, and we'll be able to communicate those to you when the system goes live.
The next question is, if you assign a service provider as a full delegate, can you change the delegate if you switch contracts?
Yeah, so if you've given a service provider full delegation, what they'll have to do is they'll deactivate the facility under their account, and then your new provider will create the facility under their account. If you switch your delegates quite often, it may be a little bit easier for you to go with partial delegation to avoid having your AGDs having to kind of deactivate and create your facilities. But if it's something you do infrequently, certainly an option for your delegates to deactivate and then your new delegate to create that facility.
So the next question is, if you ask under full delegation, does the generator have access at all to the HWP account?
No. So if you under full delegation, if you as a generator don't have a registry account, you don't have an login. The only data that you'll be able to access is the data that's publicly available. So we will have a public listing of generator registrations. So you'll be able to see that publicly available information. The other information, you would have to work with your delegate to get that.
So the next question is, what happens with emergency spill? How will they be addressed, treated, and handled?
Yeah, so we're developing specific training materials that will go into detail about the process for spills. But just know you're still going to report them the same way through the Spills Action Center. The Spills Action Center will give you what's called an emergency generation registration number. You'll be able to create your spill location in our PRA's registry and then manifest waste from that facility.
We'll take one more questions and then we'll go to the poll. So this question is, we are a generator of hazardous waste for those signing off electronically on the manifest. Do they still require TDG training?
I can't speak to Transport Canada requirements. So the requirement for training for someone signing for TDG purposes, you'll have to contact Transport Canada for that. So for our purposes, if you have an agreement with the AGD that they're going to be acting on your behalf, they can sign as the generator. But again, you'd want to check with Transport Canada about their requirements for a consignor signing a movement document.
Okay. So we will now take a quick break from the questions and launch our poll so that we can improve our webinars. So please take a few minutes to fill out these 4 questions. Thank you so much for participating in the poll. The poll is now ended. So we'll get back to the questions. So Ellen, will invoices be emailed to the administrator of the account? What payment methods are accepted?
So that information, there is an FAQ on our website that will go through that. But yeah, it would be what we call the primary contact on your Hazardous Waste Program account, who would be notified when an invoice is generated. Any user can also log in and see those invoices as well. And our payment methods, we accept credit card, we accept bill payment, we accept automatic bank withdrawals. There may be others, but that information is on our FAQs on our website.
So the next question is there a beta version we can practice with?
There won't be a full beta version per se. There will be, as I mentioned, some simulations that you'll be able to work through beginning in November.
The next question is, we are a wastewater treatment plant and receive wastewater, leachate, and septic water from many different holders. What will we be responsible for? What will the holders be responsible for, as they are currently providing us with paper manifest?
Yeah, so your haulers will need to be set up in the system, and instead of showing up with paper manifest, they're probably going to show up with either a manifest on their phone for you to sign, or you'll be able to log into your registry account and locate the manifest there.
Next question is, do Quebec-based receiving facilities need to be registered?
Yeah, we're asking that out of province receiving facilities register with us. There's no cost associated with it. That will just make it easier for you to go into our system and complete that part C of the manifest for us.
Next question, how long do we have to submit the manifest after pickup? Currently is 2 business days.
Yeah, so the same the length of time hasn't changed, so it would be the same that that is in the regulation today.
Next question, does the generator has to register the carrier in a partial delegation?
You need to work with, if your carrier is gonna you're just going to need to make sure that everyone in your collection system is registered. You're not going to register on behalf of your carriers. You're just going to need to make sure that your carriers themselves have gone in and created their accounts.
So next question, are we going to be required to go into this portal and record every pickup that the processor AGD is picking up from the generator?
Yes. So no more paper manifests. So you're going to be doing all of your manifesting through the system.
Next question, with full delegation, would we be able to view the registration that the AGD has set up for us? Sorry.
So the registration, yeah. So the generator registration report itself, we have a requirement to post that publicly. So we will, so even if you don't have a registry account, anyone can go in, just like today, you can do a generator lookup on HWN and see the facility information and their waste classes. You'll be able to do that. So you can look up your own company and see the registrations that have been made.
So next question is, how will we be able to access historical manifest data?
Yeah, so the HWN support team will be able to provide specifics, but I do know that that system is going to be still online, at least in the beginning part of 2023, for you to go in and review that information. And then after that date, when that system is no longer in service, there's still going to be a process where you can access those historic records, but HWN team will be able to provide specifics.
So the next question is, can you have multiple AGD? Example, a different AGD for different waste stream managed?
Yes. So the one thing, and it's specified on the chart, but we didn't stay there long. Yes, you can have different waste management companies who manage different waste streams. Important to note that you can't do full delegation for this to 2 separate AGDs for the same facility. So if you have a situation where you have a complex facility where you're generating a lot of different kinds of waste and you're having different companies manage them for you, you may want to do a partial delegation. You'll set up that account, that facility through your account, and then you'll be able to provide access to as many AGDs to that one facility as you need to.
So we are nearly coming to the end of the webinar. This will be the last question, Hélène. So we intend to provide full delegation service for our clients. Is there a verification step, audit of the information that is being transferred from HWN to the new system?
So first of all, thank you for providing full delegation. That's going to be really helpful for a lot of people, I'm sure. There's not going to be a audit step specifically. It really is just that HWN username as the validation. A key reason for that is this data is by and large public. This data is published annually in a public data set. So there's no commercially sensitive information there to our knowledge. And so while you're going to be putting in the username as that that check to say, is this actually the right generator number and the right facility, there's not a specific audit.
So we are coming to the end of the webinar. Thank you, Hélène. Thank you for everyone for attending. As mentioned, this webinar is being recorded, so we will share it on our website with the slide deck. Thank you and goodbye.